haven't met, Michelle Bell. I'm the OSBN policy analyst that covers our CNA and MA education programs. And one thing I think you received some communication on last week was that our admin assistant focused on this work, Selena Redbird, is on a leave. So I would love to introduce you to Nicole Van Winkle, who is another OSBN admin assistant and specialist who is going to be supporting you all and myself in all the important work that gets done around here. So thank you, Nicole. I'll let you take over introduction rounds.
Hi, my name is Nicole Van Winkle, and I'm policy coordinator and support the policy team in everything policy. And I'm happy to be here and support you guys as well. And it looks like, let me go through the list so folks can start introducing themselves. Oh. All right. Bradley Brown.
You guys want to give another minute for people to come? There's a bunch of people joining right now, getting in, unless I'm delayed. That's what it looks like on my end.
We were just going to start getting down the list because we have such great attendance, and they'll be at the bottom of the list when we get there, but we can wait.
And I can go to the next person if they're, let's see. So Bradley, Carol Neese.
I wonder if folks are muted, perhaps?
I think so.
The other option we can do, like we do at other meetings, is people just put in the chat who they are and who they're representing. So we can also move along. How do you feel about that, Michelle?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
It is nice to see so many of your faces that I've had the opportunity to meet in person over some of our site surveys over the past few months. So nice to see all of you. And for those of you I haven't had a chance to meet in person, I look forward to that soon. I really enjoyed the survey process as a journey of mutual learning. I feel that I learn so much from each of you every time I have that opportunity. All right, so as you're dropping your intro into the chat, I'll pull up a PowerPoint that I have, really just to keep me on track with you all. And we've got some big topics to cover today. I want to make sure we have time for discussion and input on all the things we have to talk about. So it should be loading. Let me know when you see it. Is it showing?
Yep, we see it.
Okay. All right, so welcome and introductions. Topics we're going to cover today include our skills testing process, skills test key steps, TMU program tracking, and then want to make sure we have time to turn it back to you and hear what your hot topics are. All right, so when I talk about skills testing, what I'm referring to here is the potential for programs to test your own. That's how I've been kind of referring to it. I want to thank all of you who responded to the survey that we sent out recently. I had 26 respondents. Of respondents, everyone who indicated their interest as yes, no, or maybe also placed a comment, which was so incredibly helpful. Just again, another example of how engaged this group is and how much I just want you to know how much I appreciate all of you. If you didn't have a chance to respond to that survey, in no way is it closed at this point. So please respond if you haven't. If you need that link sent again, just ping me. or Nicole, and we're happy to get that back out to you because I would love to have as much of a depth of a picture of your input as we move this initiative forward. So as of this morning, again, 26 respondents. The question was, is your program interested in training faculty, instructors, or yourself as NA skills test observers with the intent of observing the students of your own program? Headmaster would continue to evaluate and score the skills exam results, as well as provide the standard observer training and equipment, just like they do their current observers. Our yeses came in as the majority at 62%, about 5% as maybes, and the same amount, five total maybes and 5 total no's, so about the same, with 16 yes. So 60% in the yes, 19% no, 19% maybe. Again, with all the incredible comments that you left, there were definitely some pretty consistent themes. So the comments in favor very much had to do with reducing barriers to test, including reduced time and travel distance to testing. And we've definitely seen skill decay, and I know I can credit one of you, I can't remember who, with that phrase, but it was such a great phrase. I've been using it. But the idea that the longer your graduates are having to wait to take that skills test, it correlates with poorer pass rates. And now not just our rural communities, but even our metro communities are having significant delays in scheduling and getting those students in. So easing those scheduling barriers. A few of you talked about reduced student anxiety with familiar environment and a familiar observer, particularly for our younger students and our high school programs, of which we have many. That can be a barrier. Reduced logistical, financial barriers to test. Not everybody has consistent transportation. There's a cost to travel, all of those things. Reduced no-shows. We do have quite a few no-shows. Again, it can be difficult to get that test on the schedule. And then, of course, life comes up. Then they have to reschedule again, and it may be another couple months before they're getting to that exam. And then I really, those of you who were very passionate about expressing that our instructors are already entrusted with evaluating safety and competence for these students, and that happens in both your skills and clinical instructional spaces. So already it is on instructors to make sure that they're safe before and during patient contact and care. The negative themes were really around 2. One was program accountability. There's concerns that programs will intentionally inflate their pass rates, since pass rates are a part of your evaluation process and approval. And then bias, basically unconscious bias. And what was interesting about the unconscious bias piece was some of you were concerned that instructors would be too hard on their own students, while others thought that, they'll be too invested in their success and somehow too easy on them. So I thought that was pretty interesting to think, bias can work in both ways. So based on this, I want to turn this back to the group and open it up for discussion. I think there's really there's value to all of these comments and truth in each of them. So anyone want to jump in here and share what they're thinking or feeling about this? Lisa?
Hi, I had a question that I just thought of while you were going through those. Is what about the cost? I mean, would students still pay to take the test? Would the instructor get paid by headmaster for doing the test? I mean,
yeah, no, that's a great question. So I have confirmed with our headmaster partners that there would be a nominal cost for them to come out and train any new observers for the programs. Included in that cost, they do provide the equipment as well. So training, equipment, and then continued evaluation of the observers, just like they do the other observers. As far as payment, I think that's a piece we would have to work out as we move forward with our partners. Brenna, are you on here? Brenna or Amy from Headmaster? I didn't see them join, but I'm not sure if I just missed them. Lisa, I think those are great questions. And when we get further down the road, I think that has to be, all those pieces that we'll have to figure out the details.
As a second part of a question, what if we have a student who doesn't want to test with their class or with their instructor?
That's another great question. We would not be eliminating the independent observers. So right now we're talking about at least initially piloting / rolling this out as an opt-in, opt-out potential. So for programs who really maybe don't feel like they're ready or in a place to start testing their own students, we can phase that out later. So we would not be changing anything with our existing observers, but as we all know here, we have a shortage of those existing observers as is. Yeah.
And can I add something real quick, Michelle? I think you mentioned the
Yeah.
nominal training. I think they mentioned it was maybe $100, and that I was going to look into how OSBN could contribute to that. I'm not quite sure how that works. So all those conversations are just now getting started about what that looks like.
And then we have Mara next with a question.
Excuse me, not really a question, but I am definitely excited about this potential. I know for TVCC, we would definitely be an opt-in program. Not only are we rural, but it takes a long time for some of our students to register. Plus, we have high schoolers that are testing as well. So for us, this would be a great opportunity. I do understand like the bias of concern. I think though, at the end of the day, right, we're all nurses and it ends in patient care. So I don't think we would allow someone, I would hope, that would pass just because, we have an emotional connection with them. I don't think that's what it comes down to, kind of nursing ethics. So for me, that doesn't really feel like it could be a bias, but I don't necessarily think that's what we should potentially weigh in on. But I love the fact that we're going to have hopefully the opportunity to do some additional training and then, again, whatever kind of financial support there could be. Because again, typically we test on the weekends and that it's a secondary job for people. So that's going to be, for us, that was and is the hardest piece of getting local people is the Headmaster I-9, whatever that business model is. And then the price point's pretty low as like a per hour charge or a per hour rate. So I would hope that we can kind of think about some of those as well as far as a bedside nurse or an RN and that kind of hourly wage so that it might be more attractive. That's all. Thank you.
And then we have Sherry next.
Hi there. I have a couple of things. So first of all, is this being done in any other state besides Oregon?
Yes. We actually initially saw a pilot program that was rolled out over the last couple of years by Washington. They didn't do it as an opt-in, opt-out approach. They said, y'all are doing it. It's been very successful. They have seen an increase in their skills pass rates, about 9%, but they're really attributing that to the reduction in time to test. It has been a significant reduction in the time that students are waiting. That's our closest neighbor who's doing it, but there's a scattering of states who do it across the Headmaster family.
Okay, and then my second
And I'll just add in, sorry, Michelle, the national trend is much more towards this. There's conversations around how we are losing workforce from the barriers of that extended time and the limited availability. So yeah, thank you, Michelle, for adding in specifics about Washington, but many states across the nation are also doing it.
I mean, and I'm one of the ones that said no. For me, I feel that being held accountable to myself and knowing that somebody else is making sure that I'm doing what I'm teaching, because everybody has their own teaching. But as far as TMU, isn't it their job to find the testers. I mean, I know I've offered to test. I've had to call her and say, hey, I'm available if you need me. And then she grabs me on them. But it's not something that's being seeked out on, hey, we need testing dates and can you do this? So otherwise there wouldn't be the barriers to testing because there's us that are available to test out there. So that made no sense to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those are valid concerns, Sherry. I will share that there's been a lot of effort on the headmaster side. Brenna was at our last meeting together discussing all of the things that they were doing in the background to increase observer availability and hiring. But you heard earlier from others that pay is an issue, the financial independent 1099 worker situation is a barrier. And then especially for historically our rural populations, there may just be one tester and someone gets sick, something happens in their family. We have huge swaths of our communities that are at risk because of the limitation of observer availability. Yeah. So there is a lot happening in the background, Sherry. I can't say that it's 100% optimized, but I know there is a lot of effort in there. So, but this is a next step based on those efforts that have been happening, still not easing the way, and our students still have significant wait times. Yeah.
Okay. And so if we don't want to test our own students, what I heard is we don't have to. Is that correct? There'll be testers out there for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not planning on dismantling the current observer structure.
Okay. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you.
We have Erin next in the queue.
I forgot I had my hand up. What was I going to ask? Oh, how soon would this be put into place? Do we know, or like how soon this would go into effect?
Rachel, I'm looking at Rachel. I think Rachel has given us a thumbs up to move forward. Meeting with you all and having this discussion and getting that survey feedback is really going to guide how our next steps happen. And I think that's going to be, I can't really tell you a timeline until we fully understand with Headmaster what that looks like, because we're going to have to make it official with those of you who are opting in, and then figure out how that payment structure is going to work. Rachel's working on what OSBN can potentially do to support some of that, if we can, and then getting that training happening. So the rollout may look different timing wise for different programs, based on where you are as well with your readiness. So I'd like to move quickly. I don't want to overpromise, but I'm optimistic.
Okay, perfect. Just curious.
Yeah, I don't think I need to add anything to that, Michelle. I think you answered it perfectly. As this is the first step, and the goal is to move forward for those who are ready to move forward.
We have Lisa next. Lisa Rye.
Sorry. I also was wondering, so like in Washington, my understanding is they use a student as an actor for another student. I know that one of the problems our test observers had is finding an actor. Mm-hmm. So would that be an option as well? Or how would that work?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, using another student as an actor, if they are so willing and interested, we have no concerns with that.
Mm-hmm. So it's basically like mock.
Marie is next.
Oh, did we lose her?
I think so. Sherry, then.
I just had one more question. So being a state tester, if I'm testing other people's, and then I, on the other hand, testing my own students, would the pay be different from one to the other?
We'll put that on our list of details that we need to figure out, Sherry. I think There probably is some, program ownership when transferring the work back into your own fold. But what exactly that looks like and expectations are, we need to work with Headmaster to figure out.
Okay, yeah, because I've got several testing dates out there right now, so I was just kind of curious if that's going to change that. So, okay, perfect.
Yeah, anything you have scheduled right now should not be disrupted.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Paula Love.
Good morning. So my experience with Washington, as we had a program there, is and did the testing, is the student just paid a fee, and I think it was either $100 or $150, and that fee, even though determined by the state, was paid to the program, and that's it. There's no wage, there's nothing else, and I had no issue with it, and it worked just fine. So I just wanted to say that's my experience, is there's just a set fee paid by the student to the program for the testing. So that was all.
Oh yeah, that's great insight, Paula. Thanks for sharing that.
Marie?
Sorry, I had problems with my mic earlier. Am I on?
Yes.
Okay. So I put one of my questions on the chat. Will instructors who do opt in, will they be available then to test at other sites? Just like any other public tester, any other tester? Yes? Fabulous. The other question we have, I'm sorry, I'm seeing.
Yeah, I was shaking my head, yes, but
Yes.
Michelle, I didn't know if you wanted to add to it. That we were hearing about, go ahead, Michelle.
I was just going to say, yes, absolutely. I don't know that we would compel anyone to be required to test others.
Right. I think the conversations that we've been hearing about is for those that would, want to partner with other schools to say, hey, I'll test your students, you test my students, for those ones that may be concerned about a bias, which again, I don't know if there's any, I'm interested to see if there's research to say that there's bias in doing it this way. I think that, this conversation also around, do you get paid to do the test? We can continue to find out more answers, but what I'm learning as this is happening across the nation is it's part of the opportunity for the school to provide that at the end of the program, they do what every other program does of a skill testing of the training that they did, right? This isn't all of a sudden NA's programs are doing something that's never been done. It's that it's being done everywhere but here. So it's part of the continuing of the students. I know it's a change, and it is one of those things that is changing across the country because we, for some reason, created programs that did differently than everyone else. I don't know if that made sense of how I explain that, but Michelle, if you want to add to it, but that's really the conversations we're hearing, is it is an opportunity for the school to provide this piece instead of them waiting and then sometimes not showing up or ever taking it and losing the workforce.
Yeah. And Rachel, I would tag on to that. Yes, this is the trend for CNA programs nationally. And there's an equity piece of, we've really held CNA programs to this standard that other healthcare certifications are not, right? Most other healthcare certifications are already testing their own as the standard.
Right. And sorry, Marie, I know you had a second question too.
I did. And regarding it being a pilot, what type of metrics are we wanting to gather during this time so that we have an informed decision when it comes to the point where we're voting on it being, standard?
So we're not really doing this as a pilot. And the reason we're not truly doing this as a true pilot is because we've seen other states pilot it already. And the success has been demonstrated. So we're just rolling it. When I say pilot, maybe I should use the words, who's our first adventurous early adopters. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that question. Yeah.
And we have Lisa.
Thank you. What about using our LPN clinical people?
All right, Lisa. I love where you're going with that. I think that there is opportunity to expand the current limitations that the current restrictions Oregon has written into our faculty requirements in general. I agree with you. I think we need to expand opportunities for LPN, particularly in this space, and not just RN and LPN. So more to come on that front. Expanding from our, big focus on RNs for all things. Yeah. Great call. Mm-hmm.
And Julie has a hand up.
Yeah, hi everybody. So I guess my main question right now is around the actor, and there's some information in the chat about this other students in the cohort being the actor. And I know I used to test, I tested years ago, and I know that there's a lot of ways that testing can be disrupted. So like a wreck outside the building on the street where you're located, or other things can happen to disrupt testing. So if we're using another student for testing, there could be disruptions where that student's trying to kind of indicate to the tester things that they've forgotten, or I don't know, do things to make the tester slow down or rethink some steps. And I'll give you a really clear example. This happened to me as a program director at a previous program way before the school that I owned. Before all of that, back in 2004, the actor, it was through a different agency, and the student did not put the towel across the chest for brushing teeth, and the actor literally spit on their shirt. So to indicate to the student that they forgot to put the towel and they didn't get it, they didn't pass the skills portion of the test. But sometimes actors can do these things. And so I'm wondering if we're going to use these students, possibly, I know this is all a possibility, how does the tester then indicate on the form, or would the tester then be able to stop the test? Because, students become really close together and they might have, I don't know, hand signals or something. I mean, I don't want the test to be, muddied because we've got cohort actors with the test. I think the test has to remain sort of a clean, environment. Am I saying that right? Is everybody getting that? That's my question.
Yeah. And using other students looks different for different types of programs. Some of your programs don't just instruct CNAs. You may be instructing other types of healthcare certifications. So, encouraging y'all to pull students from other spaces where maybe that relationship isn't strong, Julie. But those are the kind of details I really appreciate you raising, because we'll have to get the guardrails in place to reduce the risks of those sorts of things happening as we move these things forward. And I approach everything in the PDSA cycle, right? So for our early adopters, we're going to learn from you, and we're going to see what we might need to tweak or adjust or add guardrails where we don't have them. And knowing that we have to continually do that to continue to increase our success in these spaces. So thank you for bringing that sort of concern up. Well, this has been a great conversation. Again, for those of you who didn't have a chance to weigh in on the survey, please do so when you can. It's really just that one question and the opportunity to comment, so that we can. Yeah, I hear you, Lynn. Again, opt in, opt out. I don't expect everyone to be ready at the same time in the same space. So. Early adopters, when we identify who you all are, I think we come back together and we really think through some of these greater details and guardrails. So, Rachel?
Yeah, thank you for leading and facilitating that great discussion, Michelle, and moving Oregon forward into the future of how the conversations are happening around NA training and programs and testing. I guess the one question I have to understand a little bit better is the cost to the program. I'm wondering because, again, knowing that all other programs do this, where they test their students at the end on a mannequin or a mock student, like what is that cost? So I understand that moving into the discussions on this topic. If I know a few people mentioned it, so just whoever did want to add what that cost is from, since I can't think of what it is.
I was hoping our headmaster partners would be here to help in this base, Rachel, since they can speak to how it's done in other states. I know somebody mentioned the Washington program that they also run. It's just a student fee that pays for that time, it sounded like. I don't know that there's one model we have to follow. We need more information in that space. Yeah, I could see that that's a consistent question that's coming up. So we'll loop
But
back
the
with
fee
group.
to but does the schools feel like there's a fee on that somehow it increases their costs is what I'm wondering what that is. Yes, the person gets trained for that $100 for that 1 to 2 hours of virtual. So that cost, but is there something else that I'm not thinking? You just kind of need to understand that a little bit more.
I think what I'm hearing is faculty time, which sometimes testing is happening on the weekends for students. So,
Okay.
but I see a couple
faculty
hands up,
time.
so we might hear, but we might
So-
hear something different. So
Right. If they don't, I mean, hopefully what we're hearing and seeing is the sooner you take the test, the more likely you are to pass. But I see that concern too. Thank you for so how often they'll have to show up to help test and potentially needing to work on the weekends and if someone needs to be compensated. Okay. Thank you for letting me throw out that last question as we think about next phase of this.
We have Christian Voice.
Christian, are you able to come off mute? Oh, looks like
It looks like she took her hand down.
lost her.
She may have
Okay.
been gonna say the cost of the faculty like everyone else did. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rachel, and thank you all, and more to come. All right, so continuing with our theme of our skills testing, key steps. So we are making some changes to disclosure. Let me move my slide ahead. So current state, Oregon is one of the only states, again, that does not publicly identify the skills key steps. The Headmaster Oregon NA Handbook does not identify key steps when they list the steps for each skill. So programs currently cannot identify the key steps in their instructions, and then students go into testing blind to key steps. So future state, the board has decided Oregon will publicly identify the skills key steps. They will be identified in the Headmaster NA book, again, paralleling other states. Programs can then instruct students on the importance of key steps and the rationale behind their selection, which really should be a key component of their instruction. Students will be better prepared for skills testing success, and that extra preparation on key steps will translate into practice and safer practice for all of us in our communities. Currently, there's 16 skills. Each skill has between 20 to 50 steps. So that's a lot of steps for these students to be practicing and trying to memorize, and not knowing where their focus needs to be, I think puts them at a disadvantage to success. You all know they need to complete 80% of all the steps and 100% of key steps. So they miss a key step, it's an auto fail for those steps. Those key steps are identified via our annual TAP, and the TAP members consist of a select group of any program directors. So it also creates a disparity in the program director community of kind of who has that insight and who doesn't. And this is an example from Headmasters California NA Candidate Handbook. Looks essentially the same as ours, only those key steps are bolded. So as soon as Headmaster can make that change to the NA Candidate Handbook, that's going to be republished with those key steps. And any questions or concerns in this space?
Lisa has her hand up.
Yeah. I was wondering, does that mean that we can start talking about key steps now?
What do you think, Rachel? I think we need to identify them for everybody, Lisa, because not everybody has that information yet. So let's make sure we get the NA handbook republished, and then I'll give a green light so that everybody's on the same starting point.
Approximate timeline, I guess, how long it takes them to reprint the handbook. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah. They're usually pretty quick about changes, Rachel. You know, we had a lot that went into place at the beginning of this year. So I don't anticipate it will be more than a few weeks at most. All right. Well, hopefully that's good news for all of you and your students. All right, next topic, TMU program tracking. And really this is around, as we dive deeper into this space, we are noticing some opportunities for our data assessment and reorganization of the way we have programs organized in our databases. And the reason we're really scrutinizing this right now is, we need our data to fully represent the scale and scope of Oregon NA programs, as well as the students and populations served. And right now, we don't have that. The way we have entered in those of you who run programs as like a consolidated program under which, the same, policies and procedures, you're running cohorts at independent facilities or kind of like sub programs. What kind of clued me into this is as I am connecting with other states, I kept thinking like, are we really underserved in Oregon with the number of programs? Like, how is this possible with the number of students we're actually pushing through when I look at the number of programs that other states are claiming to have? And what I realized is that they're counting each location as not necessarily an independent program, but they're giving it an independent like approval, even when it's underneath the blanket program. Another barrier is really trying to get that discrete pass-fail data for each lab training site and sub-program, like student populations. And what I mean by that, a good example is our high school programs. All but one of our high school programs are wrapped into one of their local community college programs. And so as I was looking to do some comparison of like, gosh, how are high school students in particular doing? I really can't find that data currently the way we have things organized in TMU. So wanting to reorganize so that we can really focus in on all those unique cohorts that are out there being taught and evaluated. So that is why I asked you all to send in that information about where are you really teaching, where are your labs. There's more work to do there. But as we start to count those programs, it doesn't look like we have 48 or so. It looks like we have closer to 200 plus programs that we should be acknowledging here in Oregon. I will say, I think down the road, it will as we get our heads wrapped around this, influence our evolving process for surveys and approvals, because for some programs that are teaching at sometimes independent facilities across the state, if we're only visiting one of your locations every 2 years, it may take us 30 years to even step foot on some of these locations. So we need to find a way to solve for that. I don't want anyone to panic and think, oh gosh, I'm going to have to do a big full self-eval for everywhere that we have a lab. That's not what I'm intending. But there may be some just identification needs of all those places and ensuring that everything's being consistent across all of your different facilities or locations, cohorts. So I appreciate your partnership. It's continuing to evolve. We have some additional kind of program management help in this space as we rethink how to organize TMU. So if I have questions, I'll be reaching out to you just to clarify. Any questions? It'll be a good thing. It really, I think we have an opportunity to really demonstrate how much work you guys are actually doing and how important all of your programs are to our communities in the state of Oregon. All right, future meetings. Looks like our next one's on the books for July 15th at 10 a.m. And then hopefully we'll get the new invites for moving into the fall out to you all soon, but trying to keep with a consistent cadence here. And with that, I will turn it over to the group. What other questions do you have, concerns, or hot topics that you want to address while you've got your peers here?
Megan Mitchell.
Hi, good morning. Megan Michelle with Central Oregon Community College. I had a question for any other programs that are associated with community colleges and how you do scheduling with the college for your classes. We have a program called CLASS, CLSS, and our program is so different from like your standard math that meets 3 times a day or 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 to 2. Because our schedule is kind of all over the place with lab and lecture and clinicals, and it's really, really hard to fit our square peg into that round hole. And just wondering if other programs have kind of similar issues with scheduling to get everything into the course catalog, or what's worked well.
Nilda, I see your hand up. Oh, do we lose her?
Sorry.
All right, maybe.
Mine was
Okay.
to ask a question too, not to answer hers. So if somebody else has an answer for her, please go first.
All right, we have Lisa.
Lisa?
in.
We have a dedicated classroom, so we don't have to schedule our lab and lecture days. We can just, through this college system, I only have to use that system when we need like a second room when we do practice testing and things. So they gave us a room, I guess, which works out well because it has all our equipment in it.
Mary.
Yeah, our didactic is synchronous, and so we just schedule the lab dates during the weeks. So we have 2 days a week for lab. That's really what goes into the college portion of the information.
And Marie.
You're on mute, Marie.
Sorry, I was just saying that I couldn't hear Mary very well, but you couldn't hear me. That's okay. Portland Community College. The way we schedule is similar to Lisa and probably Mary. We have a dedicated space. We don't share space, so we have an open lab. So there isn't any real problems with us.
one of our struggles is like on days when we have testing, like skills testing for students, and they're only like it's only 1 credit for them, but how do we show in the calendar that it's actually going from like 9 to 3? And our, we do have some dedicated space for lab, but like we do in-person testing. So like, yeah, it's and kind of it's been a hula baloo for the last couple of years.
Julie?
Thanks. My question is more around the curriculum approval process. If we have 2 programs that run on different timeframes, so let's say we have a day class that runs on a full day schedule, 7.5 or 8 hours a day, and then we have a shorter day class that maybe is 5 or 5.5 hours or 6 hours. Do we need to have that curriculum document approved by you, or do you care about, like, if we have a day class and an evening class, because they're going to run a little bit differently than just like a standard document. So
Yeah.
how many curricula, because I've been around a long time, and in the past we always had to have a different curriculum for each class that ran on a different schedule, because each day for the different classes were different content and different hours. And I'm trying to pull myself into your new way of thinking, Michelle, and I love it. But what do we do as a program director? Do I have to submit different curricula documents for different program approvals?
That's a great question, Julie. And what I've been using for new program approvals that come in with a brand new curriculum, we created a curriculum crosswalk document. So rather than really getting into the weeds with your unique curriculums, it's a document that you can fill out that's really just validating that all of that core content that we require for the OSBN approved curriculum is present and present in the right quantity. So I will send that to you, Julie, and really that's your validation that even though you're teaching, you have these different teaching like timings and potentially hours, that you are still meeting that core curriculum. So I think for those of you I think, Julie, you're the only one I know right now that's totally, blowing it up and restarting and thinking afresh.
Yeah.
So I'll get those documents over to you. And if anyone else is looking at a brand new curriculum, that's the way we're looking at it moving forward.
Yeah, we're changing our name of our program. We're not going to be called Long-Term Care Works anymore. We're going to be called Care Pathways. And we're changing like our logo, and I don't know, the whole leadership team is doing all kinds of strange things, which keeps me on my toes. And it's fun, and I love it, and I appreciate my leadership team because I just get to focus on my job. But yeah, there's big changes coming with our program. So thank you.
Hopefully good changes, Julie.
Yeah.
Nilda is next.
To add to that, can you share with the rest of us that document that you created, that crosswalk? So it looks like there's 5 or 6 of us on the chat that are wanting a copy too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Because
that's
I would
great.
say
I'll blast it out to
I
the group.
teach in a lot of different places, so our schedule does look different in each facility or each classroom. So it'd be just nice to see what's expected in the future. My question is, for those of you that are already approved proctors, would anybody want to do a field trip to Eastern Oregon soon to test some students? I've got like 30 students pending that have been waiting, some of them since January. Yeah. So if you want to put in the chat box your contact information, I would follow up with you. Because I do also believe like Headmaster does a lot of good stuff, but they don't really reach out for new proctors. Like they're like, we only have one proctor for your region. And then that's kind of it.
Until the near future, when hopefully we change things. But I appreciate you putting it out there, the request, and highlighting the real need.
Yeah, so if anybody's willing, I mean, we can negotiate a timeline. Like it doesn't have to be like tomorrow. Uh, my students would probably lose their minds if I told them they were testing tomorrow. Uh, but if anybody's available and willing to go on a road trip, let me know, please. Or we could bring a whole bus of students to you if that would make it easier.
Sherry, are you volunteering?
Well, I'm trying to, where at in Eastern Oregon are you?
We actually, we're almost approved for 2 of our classrooms to be testing sites. We've been testing with the local college. So it'll be like Vail or Ontario at this point. And then I have a private program and in Prairie City that's also being approved to be a testing site.
Ooh,
So
that is a
between,
long ways. I know I just opened up 3 testing sites and they were full within like 2 days of, because I just opened up for anyone. I'm willing to do them here if you want to
where are
bring
you?
them. I'm in Eugene.
All right. Can you put your contact info in the chat box and I'll follow up with you?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Field trip.
We're willing to do whatever it takes. I've got some teacher bus drivers, so we'll just load up the little buses and go on a field trip.
And then I see
Lynn?
Lynn.
Hi, I have a question for those of you who are using some online content along with your in-person classes. I don't know how to document the portion of the course that's online in terms of the time or date. And I wondered if you could.
For the attendance record.
For the attendance record, thank you. Wondered if you could tell me how you're doing it.
Marie?
We use the learning management system D2L. And if you have a learning management system, I don't know if you use Canvas, Blackboard, or whatever, there is functionality to time folks. And for our initial run through with our pilot program that went fully online, we took that data and then adjusted our time frame for each of the modules accordingly. So we were able to collect how much time. It was really a guess as to how much time the content that we put into our online platform was going to cover the 3 hours that's required by domain. And now we have a better sense of what that would take. And so the first run through, and I'm happy to share that data with you, but the first run through was learning for us. But when we created and as we are creating our next hybrid online platform, we have closer to the timeline that students will take for certain modules.
And I appreciate that information. Thank you. But I'm trying to figure out how to document on the attendance record.
That data can be pulled on D2L. It can be pulled how much time they took and that they actually showed up to complete certain modules. So we kept track of it as they went.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Megan?
We'll just put like for the week, we have an estimate of how long, or kind of have calculated out how long each module should be. And then we verify with them that they have, before we do their weekly testing, that they've completed those. And so we'll just have like, week 1, 6 hours for online modules. And kind of the time frame for that, like from, March 1st to March 8th, they completed 8 hours.
Is that helpful, Lynn?
Yeah, thank you.
Natalie?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Any other hot topics, folks? I know there's so much work going on out there. I hear from so many of you consistently about changes that are happening, and I appreciate how connected you are to each other and to the board to make sure that as we're modernizing programs, that we're doing so thoughtfully, mindfully, and with public safety at the foremost. Julie?
Yeah, thank you. So there's a funny little regulation in Division 61 that says that we have to measure the progress of the student through the program. And historically, I'm paraphrasing, that's not exactly how it's written. So we have this progress standard through the program, and then we have the final exam. So the progress standard historically has been either a midterm or a series of quizzes. Are any of the programs doing anything else or doing something differently? As we restructure our program and we're building an online self-paced, asynchronous program, quizzes and, knowledge checks during the program, do those things count as progress through the program? Or do I still have to come up with a midterm or quizzes? How are y'all doing that?
Megan?
We have like 5 course exams that they're doing throughout the lecture and lab time. And then we also have a preclinical skills eval where they are demonstrating 2 of the headmaster skills for us before they head to clinical. And they're doing the final exam also. They have to pass the final exam before progressing to clinical. And then we do a comprehensive skills exam, the 3, testing 3 of the headmaster skills after clinicals.
Marie?
Well, I'm going to speak to, as far as the skills portion, it's similar to what Megan had mentioned that we do, but for the knowledge portion, we have built in knowledge checks, which serve as sort of mini quizzes. And that is what we have all throughout the course. And then they just take their final exam. They do have 2 chances to remediate, or 1 chance to remediate the final exam if they should not be successful. But outside of that, they're knowledge checks that are built into the hybrid program.
Erin?
Basically the same thing as what Marie said. We have quizzes after each domain, and then they take the final.
So for you guys who do the quizzes, the domain quizzes, do they have to pass them at a certain score? Do you have it set at 75 or 80%? Do they get 1 chance to remediate, or do they just get the score that they get and then you move them into, or they're allowed to move into the next domain? So is the quiz a stopgap where, hey, you only got 50%, go back and do it again, you have to get 75%, or does it just release the student into the next domain? How are you doing that?
Erin?
For ours, we have we have retakes, so they can do 1 retake on a quiz, but they're different. So there's quiz A and quiz B, so we have so when they retake it, it's a different quiz, and it's just 75% or better on all the quizzes, as together. So we kind of keep an average as we go. If they're getting below us, below that 75, then we're talking to them and trying to figure out what they need and help and everything. Or if they're having to retake a lot of the quizzes, then it's like, okay, what's going on? So we do it as a whole. And rarely have we had people that didn't pass because of quiz scores. We even had one guy recently that had to retake almost every quiz, and my instructor was like, oh my gosh, he's not gonna pass the final, and he actually passed the final wonderfully. So I guess the retakes helped, but yeah, that's what we do. It seems to work well.
Lisa?
Hey, Michelle, Michelle and Nicole, I'm so sorry. I want to jump in because I have to jump for the last half hour. So just want to be able to say thank you all for the information that you've been providing, Michelle, and in this space as we think through things as a group. And Nilda, I have to say, I think maybe while it's great that your community and why this community is so important is supporting you, I'm thinking that maybe Michelle and I need to connect with you and make sure that we get this rolling to make sure maybe the other option is you get trained and contest. So I'm not, saying to do one or the other, but I'm just saying that let's make sure we stay on top of it. So that is one of the options. And it was really great to see you all. Thank you for the work you're doing in the community. That's so important. And I'll kick it back over to you, Michelle and Nicole, and talk to you all another time.
Thank you so much for joining us, Rachel.
So I was just going to say that we use quizzes also, and although I don't have people retake them routinely, they generally, I say that use this as an idea of how well you're doing, and if you're not getting at least 80%, then you might want to adjust how you're studying. So, and pretty consistently, students get at least 80%.
Quinn?
So we have post quizzes, and if they don't get they have 3 attempts to pass. If they don't get 75% or higher, it's actually a hard stop. They can't proceed further in the program till they reach out to me. And then I'll go through and review, meet with the student, we'll do some remediation, give them an opportunity to test. If they can pass that time, then they just continue through the program. If they can't, this may not be the time for them to proceed for whatever reason, but oops.
Thank you all for sharing the way you're handling that. Again, more and more of you are moving to that online didactic platform, either synchronous or asynchronous. So these conversations are really helpful as we keep up with technology. Mary?
Is there a need or opportunity? I think it's called the test advisory group, the folks who come together and kind of review the content and the questions. Is there need for new membership, or is there membership available for that? How do we get involved?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mary. And I'm kind of working out our plan for this year with the TAP. So it happens annually in partnership with Headmaster. I think typically they've held it in the middle of the year. This year, their big national event is the very end of June, going into July, essentially. And so I think we're going to be setting it up most likely in the fall, so a little bit later in the year than has been the previous plan. And then following the TAP will be the rollout of the instructor workshops, which is opt-in for anywhere that wants us and Headmaster to show up and facilitate training on anything that comes out of the TAP. So yes, please stay tuned. We're definitely going to be looking for folks to participate. We know there's opportunity to continue to align, especially the lab and skills checklists. And do we have the skills in the right places? And I've really been starting to take a deeper dive into sort of all the places you can find the things that you're expected to instruct on. We've got our, the duties of the CNAs. You've got your different checklists. You have the curriculum. You have the Headmaster list. And so kind of got a lot of sources of truth that sometimes overlap and don't quite super clearly align. So really want to get that a little bit cleaner as we move forward. And I know there's already been so much work that's happened from this group to get us where we're at, and we're in a good place, but we're just going to keep making it better. So I appreciate you wanting to engage and continuing to move us forward. So yeah, stay tuned. And same for everybody who wants to, participate. I am hoping to open up Division 61 before the end of the year. That's not so much about practice or education. That's more about OSBN and our survey process to get that more aligned, modernized, streamlined, and ease your way there as well. So still working out a timeline, but I'm feeling ambitious in that space, guys. What else is happening out there?
Megan?
Michelle, we're still on track for their annual survey in July, and is that, since we don't have Edvera anymore, is that going to be a different, or what's the process like for submitting that information?
Yeah, so for routine resurveys, really I'm just asking you to send me the program self-evaluation via email. No longer do I want any student records or private academic records sent via email. So just that one document. If you have a student handbook, I'd like to see that in advance as well. Other than that, I really just want to visit your lab site. So wherever you're instructing skills. And then a lot of it is just having a nice place to sit down with you, learn about your program, discuss any challenges, and kind of approach it that way. So I don't need to observe a live class or lab.
That's for the reapproval survey. For the annual survey, maybe I'm saying the wrong word for it, but like every year we turn in information about the kind of the demographics of our students have been. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. So that is being revamped. We're going to have a different survey platform. I'm likely going to use Forms, which is what I just used for that simple survey that you all filled out in regards to the test your own question. And then we are going to, with the board, really focus on what information we're asking you for, because we want it to be meaningful and actionable and driving progress. So useful to you all to see how you're comparing, and useful to the board to see how we need to adjust to support our community. So that is in the works as well. Timing, I'm not sure. We're still shooting for July, which has been the traditional time that comes out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Erin?
Did you say you're not getting or asking for files anymore?
I don't want I don't want them sent to me, no. Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah,
there's a potential when we're there on site, if we have a question or there's something that comes up that we want to take a dive together, we can do that, but I don't want those sent to me.
I see. Okay. I mean, because we can just make sure we have them, because we keep a lot of our stuff electronically now. So, but that can be easily pulled up. So, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Julie?
Yeah, you mentioned before you said no records, there was a form that you were going to have us fill out and send to you for the survey. Is that new? I didn't get the name of the form that you mentioned for the survey.
For the self-survey or the annual survey? Yeah.
The program survey. Is that the self-survey form?
Right now for your site survey, is that what you're asking, Julie?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right. To date, I'm still using the same form that you've seen in the past that kind of goes through 61, and you indicate whether you think you're met or, unmet or partially met. We are working again on updating that, but looking towards updating 61 to reflect kind of like that new form. So changes will be coming, but right now it's the same self-eval form. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Marie?
Yeah, I have a question for the group in regards to evaluations from partner sites. So a little bit of background, we have a systematic plan of evaluation, and by and large, that area of feedback from partner sites has always been lacking. Even though we put out surveys, we have faculty even giving managers evaluation forms, and we really need that for our tracking. And particularly this term, we were under a grant, we need that. And for, of course, our surveys, we need that evaluation. So wondering how folks are getting managers from sites to fill out an evaluation, or at least give a verbal without, a lot of human resource, use.
It's hard.
It is hard.
I can't
Okay,
even get our own facilities to give us evaluations, let alone an outside company trying. Yeah, it's hard.
Well, my next part of my question then is for Michelle. Do we have opportunity, and I'd hate to put another meeting on the books, but I wonder, just based on my background with nursing faculty and the partner advisory committees that we have or meetings where we have everybody that's able to come to a meeting with, all our stakeholders come and give us feedback on what those sites are needing. And for me in particular, we use hospitals. And so, in the future, maybe we'll use long-term care sites too, but just have everybody at the table to kind of give feedback to us as, as leaders in our training programs. What can we do better? Maybe as a group, if we invite them, they might have a little more motivation. I don't know. If that's a possibility to maybe in this forum invite some stakeholders.
Maybe I think this is something we could discuss. Even I feel like maybe you're hinting at a state-driven communication that they might pay a little more attention to if it's coming from us, or the invite comes from us. I'm open to that discussion if everybody thinks that creates value. I don't want to overcomplicate things and involve us in places where programs can manage on their own, but we want to identify those places where our support is meaningful. And so if that is a meaningful place where we can step in to encourage those stakeholders and partners to engage, let's talk about that further. Yeah. Anybody else have thoughts on that?
Megan?
Thanks, Marie. We do hold an advisory board meeting a couple times a year with our partners and invite them as part of our community college charter and our CTE program. That's a requirement for us, but we have a lunch or a breakfast and have everybody come, kind of give them some updates on what's going on, and we have a annual survey with that we send them out, tell them that day, like, all right, look for your link. It's going to come for their little Qualtrics survey. And not always amazing. We do get usually a few that are sending some information back and some that are coming to the meetings and just giving some verbal feedback then. So that's been helpful for us.
Anyone who hasn't spoken up yet, but still has a question for the group? Anybody have anything exciting they want to share that's happening with their program right now? I know there's a lot of exciting stuff happening out there, guys.
Megan?
We just are starting classes in our new building up in Madras, Oregon. So it's about, I know, almost an hour away from Bend, Oregon, one of the 4 campuses that COCC has. But we've got a new building with a lovely lab space up there and we're just starting our first couple classes up there. One with the partnership with the high school up there, and then one a COCC class. So it's been fun and a lot of work to get another lab up and up and running.
Congrats. Again, I just can't wait to wrap my arms around how many of you are serving our high school students. I really look forward to having that data available. I think it's something to highlight.
We've definitely had interest from other high school too. Still, that biggest barrier for us is the primary care requirements, our primary instructor requirements on the federal level of having that long-term care experience.
Marie?
Yeah, to your point about high schools, we are expanding and have multiple conversations out regarding high schools. We piloted our first high school and lots of lessons learned. And I would love to hear, and maybe I would love it if there were people that were utilizing high schools as some of their sites. Can you put your names in the chat so that maybe I can reach out with just that cohort of folks about the high school and lessons learned? Like I said, we just piloted our first high school, and I would love to hear from other folks who are also partnering with high schools and lessons learned. One of the biggest lessons is that they really need a lot more time to practice, at least the group that we had. They needed a lot more time to practice than our traditional students. The other big lesson is navigating the school system. Ours was Portland Public Schools, and time within the classroom space, utilizing technology. I mean, those kinds of things. Like, we didn't know that would be such an issue. Even getting on to our learning platform, because they had so many barriers in their Chromebooks to utilize our learning management system. I mean, those things took a lot of time to figure out. We had no idea. So I would love to have a small cohort of folks, if you're interested, to get together and chat.
Maria, I'd love to facilitate that.
Okay, you're invited,
Yeah,
Michelle.
why don't we plan on sending an invite out to all the program directors who do have high school cohorts, and we'll get something on the books. And I'd love to facilitate that. I know that there are a lot of unique challenges among the kids. I have a couple at home. I can see where those challenges would come up. Gail, I see your question about a message board for the PDs. We don't have anything like that right now, and part of the challenge is everybody uses different platforms in, Google or Zoom. We're Teams based. I wouldn't mind exploring that. I also, again, on our looking ahead at the work that I'd like to, complete in the next year or so. And this isn't unique to just our NA programs, but our external facing website. I think there's a lot of opportunity to get more resources up there and easily accessible for you all, versus I know there's a lot of email exchange that happens for things right now. So that's definitely on the agenda, and potentially, ease group communication in some way. So I think that's a great call out. Email list. Yeah, I will tell you there are some limitations from the state side about building email lists that include external or are primarily external stakeholders. I've tried to do it and haven't been able to kind of break through those barriers. So anyways, that's one of the challenges currently. Yeah. Let me take that back to our administrative system to see what our options are. There must be something out there. So yeah, I'll dig in and find out what our options are. I'll just send, so the idea of this high school meeting, I'll send the invite to the same group, and then those of you who either are running high school programs or those of you who are interested in that can join. All right, we have really utilized our time together today. We're down to about 10 more minutes. So if anyone has another topic we want covered today, please bring it forward. All right. Well, in that case, thank you all for joining and being so engaged. We have a lot of great things in the pipeline and work that you're doing, work that we're doing at the board. In summary, stay tuned. Those of you who are eager to be the early adopters of Test Your Own, we're going to nail down those details so that you can make final decisions and preparations with headmasters. So stay tuned. Again, please encourage anybody who didn't respond to the survey to do so. Key steps, hold tight. I'm hoping that's a really quick turnaround to republish our skills with the key steps listed, and then please stay tuned and just keep communicating with us as we refine our database to better reflect all the work that you all are doing. So appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much. Great day. Till next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.